outside with Aveeno Skin Brightening Scrub. It has moisture-rich soy and gentle exfoliators.
Aw, sounds so nice, doesn't it? But some facial cleansers are making a big mess. They're packed with microbeads that can hurt fish, wildlife, and potentially your health. But now the federal government is taking a big step toward banning these tiny pieces of plastic. Joining us now, Dr. Joelene Huber. She is a pediatrician, professor of medicine at the University of Toronto. Okay, take us back to the beginning. What are microbeads?
So they're exactly what you said. They're these little tiny pieces of plastic, and they're actually in some exfoliants, toothpaste, body scrubs, hand sanitizer. So it's hard to see, but you can see these little tiny blue flecks, and if you feel it, they're just really tiny pieces of plastic, actually. A lot of people don't realize it's plastic in there, and they're less than 5 millimeters in size, and or sort of as small as a grain of sand. We have some pictures that we can pull up to show close up what they look like. So just these little pieces of plastic, so tiny. We can show them a picture of the beads compared to a penny. If you look at what it looks like on a penny, they're just really small. You could stack up, you know, sometimes 5 of them on the edge of a penny. So they're really small and they're getting into the water.
Microbeads, they're getting into the water, and now the federal government wants them called a toxic substance. Why?
So because they're so small, a lot of people think, well, how could that impact our environment or impact our health? But what's happening is they're going back through the wastewater treatment plants that don't have filters to catch them. So they're going back into the waterways, and that's where their trouble is starting. So they're being consumed by water-dwelling animals, so like consumed by fish or developing fish. Some studies have shown, we have some pictures of a fish larvae where they're in the digestive tract, and they
almost looks like eggs inside.
Yeah, and they are almost indestructible once they're in the water. And in some studies they're showing that fish larvae are actually preferring to eat this rather than their own natural food. But of course, it's not giving them any nutrition value. There's a higher mortality rate in some species of fish because of it. They're more vulnerable to the predators because of it, and so it's become a big problem.
And these are chemicals. This is plastic. So what does that potentially mean for us who drink the water and eat the fish?
Right. So the concern really, there's sort of twofold concern. The one is because they're getting into the bellies of fish and marine life, then of course when you go up the food chain, we're at the end of that food chain, and so there is concern about that in terms of a health risk. But the other thing is that these are very tiny little balls of plastic, but their surface area relative to their size is quite large, and they act like sponges, and they're sponging in contaminants and pollutants that potentially and theoretically could cause health risks. And so it's almost like we're being proactive. We don't know of human health risks yet, or we don't have evidence for that, but there is that potential risk.
And it's all just to clean our skin. So there must be alternatives. What could we do?
Yeah, so you can look, so many of the companies are already stopping to use, to produce them. There's about 100,000 kilograms per year that are coming into these kinds of products in Canada, but a lot of them are stopping to use that, and they're starting to use more natural exfoliants, so things like apricot pits ground up in some exfoliants, or oatmeal is a great exfoliant, loofah sponges you can find, or even these kind of exfoliant gloves. But there's lots of different options. You can look on the ingredients of what you're buying for polyethylene, and that would be an indicator that those microbeads may be in that product. And so we can kind of be part of the solution as well.
Just be aware, look at the ingredients, and avoid polyethylene.
Yes.
We can do that.
Polyethylene and polypropylene.
Thank you so much, Dr. Huber.
Thank you for having me.
Now, a quick note, we did reach out to Johnson & Johnson, a huge company which manufactures an Aveeno scrub containing microbeads. They tell CBC News they're in the process of phasing out and eliminating the use of polyethylene beads in their personal care products, and that they'll do so by the end of 2017. You're watching CBC News Network. Weather is next.